What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Before I get into this video, as always, like to remind you guys that if you want to donate to my channel, if you want to show love to my channel, you can do so on the links provided in the description box below. Now, um, in this video, I want to talk about something that is puzzling me, has been bothering me for a little while now, and it has to do with the fact that I've noticed that NBA fans are becoming more and more critical of Shaquille O'Neal, and in my opinion, have become a lot less educated about Shaquille O'Neal as far as his impact in the NBA, how dominant a player he was, and it just goes to show you. It goes into what I've always been talking about: how increasingly ignorant fans are about the history of the league. I'm noticing people are saying things, like basically they're trying to make Shaq a perennial sidekick. Like he basically rode off the coattails of Brian and Wade as far as winning championships. And you know what? And I can understand how some of these little youngins can think like that because in their eyes, the NBA, the center position isn't really that relevant. So they're seeing everything from the eyes of the center position, of the modern era. Basically, I'm just being honest. The center position's been relegated to a field nigga. He does all this fucking work for little recognition. I'm not saying that the point guards are house niggas. I don't really mean it that way. But man, can you imagine if I was on television talking like this? Man, I've been yanked off the fucking air. Security would have pulled my ass off the air. But anyway, yeah, like I do think the center position is like it's the field niggas of the NBA now, man. Like they don't really do shit, man. But they expected to rebound. You know what I'm saying? Block an occasional shot, and that's about it. You know what I'm saying? While the perimeter players get all of the praise and the glory, and also usually the center position are generally now the most underpaid and the least paid. But if you grew up watching the NBA back in the 80s and 90s, you knew how things were almost a complete 180 back then. The center position was still the most important position in the NBA. And if you had a dominant center, it greatly increased your chances of winning a championship. When you think of all of the teams that had dominant centers back in the 80s and 90s, they were all championship contending teams. The Orlando Magic, when Shaquille O'Neal was there, Hakeem Olajuwon, of course, the Houston Rockets, Dave Robinson with the San Antonio Spurs. Earlier on, Moses Malone when he was with the Houston Rockets, and later on the Philadelphia 76ers. Of course, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the Los Angeles Lakers. Even later on, uh, Alonzo Mourning with the Miami Heat were contenders for a while. If you were a center, of course, and Patrick Ewing, of course, the New York Knicks. But if you were a dominant center, you greatly increased your team's chances of winning it all. And Shaquille O'Neal is the most dominant center of the modern era. The only other center I think that was more dominant than him was Wilt Chamberlain. But Shaquille O'Neal, for all of his flaws, and he had a lot of flaws out there on the basketball court, in particular, his free throw shooting, his tepid free throw shooting, and his questionable work ethic. But still, with those things considered, he's a top 10 all time center. And I get it. I understand that if you watch inside the NBA, his personality is very prickly. It can be off putting. He's very sensitive to criticism. He doesn't let jokes roll off his back like Charles Barkley. He takes things too personally. He looks consistently pissed off. You know what I'm saying? He looks quote unquote angry all the time. I love to always hear that one. Um, you know, But that doesn't take away from the fact that he's one of the greatest players in league history. I think he's a top 5 center. And you have to also remember that he took a team to the NBA Finals. He led a team, I should say, to the NBA Finals in his third season. His third season. People love to revel about the fact that LeBron James went to the finals in 2007, which was his fourth season. Shaquille O'Neal took a team to his finals, to the NBA Finals, in his third season. Yeah, but LeBron ain't had Penny Hardaway and Nick Anderson and Horace Grant. Well, the league was more talented back then. Oh, I forgot, but you said it wasn't more talented. Oh, whatever. But yeah. What kills me is people are now revisionist historians, and Shaquille O'Neal just rolled everybody's jockstrap. He rolled Penny Hardaway's jockstrap to the finals. He rolled, Kobe Bryant's jockstrap to the finals. He rolled Dwayne Wade coattails. But to hear Charles Barkley say that shit when they're arguing with one another, okay? But with the exception of Dwayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal was the man, all right? Yeah, with Wade, by that time, Shaquille O'Neal was on the downside of his career, and Wade had a Jordan-esque performance in the finals. I believe he averaged 40 points per game, or damn near 40 points per game the last 4 games of that series. I'm talking about Dwayne Wade. You can make your argument about the free throws, but the point remains he had a Jordan-esque performance in that finals, and he should have won Finals MVP. But the other years, Shaquille O'Neal was the man on those teams. Look to see who led the team in scoring. Look to see who had the more dominant stat line. Okay, um, when you watch the NBA Finals, when you watched even the highlights of the 2000 Finals, what did you see? You saw Larry Bird, who was the head coach that year. I think it was his last year coaching. You saw Larry Bird, Rick Carlisle, I believe was still his assistant coach. So all these coaches trying everything in their power in vain to try to slow down Shaquille O'Neal when he was at the peak of his powers in 2000. Even to the point of fouling the man, I think it was 39 times in one game. Because, of course, that was his Achilles heel. Nothing worked. Shaquille O'Neal was uber dominant. I believe he averaged something like 36 points per game or something in that final series. I mean, he put up unbelievable numbers in some of those games. And of course, Lakers won their first championship in, I believe, something like a dozen years. When you look at the 2001 finals against the Philadelphia 76ers, what do they always show you? They show you Shaquille O'Neal deep in the post, lurching that shoulder back. You know what I'm saying? Um, bullying the Dikembe Mutombo, all 7'2" of him, making him look like a little boy. A 4-time Defensive Player of the Year winner, looking helpless against in his prime Shaquille O'Neal. 2002, now that wasn't the best opponent. The New Jersey Nets were the Nets. The Lakers swept right through them. And that's when you started seeing Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. That's when you started seeing Kobe, I think, and Shaq becoming more of an equal partnership. And Kobe Bryant went off in that series. And it's the only series where he shot over 50% from the floor in the finals. And I think that was when you started seeing the partnership really, really starting to fray. Kobe at that time no longer wanted to be a sidekick. He wanted to be the lead player. And that's when I think things were starting to become doomed between them. You understand what I'm saying? Um, Neither one of them wanted to relegate that lead position. Kobe kind of allowed, Shaq to take the lead the first couple of years. But then by the 2002 finals, and then afterward, I think Kobe no longer wanted to be second. And there was always a battle. And I think in the 2004 finals, that hurt them. Um, on paper, that Piston team should not have beat that Lakers team. Now, I think Ben Wallace did do a good job on Shaquille O'Neal, but if memory served it correctly, I think Shaquille O'Neal shot 63% from the floor in that finals. Something tells me he should have took more shots. Kobe Bryant, on the other hand, I think only shot 36% from the floor in that series, and I think only 17% from three-point range. A lot of that had to do with the awesome defense of Tayshaun Prince, and I think if you look at just the numbers alone, you have to come to the conclusion that Shaquille O'Neal should have took more shots. Kobe Bryant should have taken fewer shots. Not to say that Lakers still would have won that series, or would have won that series, but I think it would have been a more competitive series. The Lakers by that time were starting to play more outside in as opposed to playing inside out earlier during their run. But Shaquille O'Neal accomplished a lot in his 8 years in the Los Angeles Lakers. It's the most, it's the greatest tenure that he spent with any franchise, and he helped to lead them to three NBA championships and four NBA final appearances. And some people can say, look, well, Shaq didn't win anything until he started playing with Kobe Bryant. Well, I think to be more precise, neither one of them started winning until they started playing under Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson taught them how to win. See, Shaq and Kobe, as great as they were, especially Shaquille O'Neal early on, and then Kobe became a great player himself. As great as they were, they didn't know how to win consistently in championship situations. See, a great player will get you very far just because of their greatness. They know how to dominate the game and to generally win, uh, regular games like regular season and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to the championship moments, only a guy who become, becomes experienced in those situations begins to learn how to win in quote unquote crunch time. You know what I'm saying? When to dominate, when not to dominate, when to cede to another guy, uh, all these different situations. That's, when Phil Jackson taught these guys how to win. And that's pretty much it from this one. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think Shaquille O'Neal has become a little bit more disrespected by a lot of fans today, man. It's and this is another reason why I say this. I remember about 10 years ago when Dwight Howard was doing his thing with the Orlando Magic, and I remember people were saying shit like Dwight Howard was stronger than Shaquille O'Neal. Dwight Howard was more skilled than Shaquille O'Neal. Just all of this absolute nonsense. Of course, I know I don't see any of these guys on the NBA in the comment section anymore. I don't see these guys on YouTube anymore. If they are, they deleted their old accounts and created new ones and act like they never were the ones that were saying this stupid rubbish 10 years ago. But yeah, Shaquille O'Neal is just one of these guys that constantly gets disrespected a lot. And I think another thing about it with Shaq too is, and we saw this with Wilt. A lot of people tend to say, well, it wasn't that Shaq was skilled; he was just bigger than everybody else. He was a bully. Well, I mean, look, if that's what your asset is, if you're bigger than everybody else, you should dominate. I don't get that. I don't understand how Shaquille O'Neal being bigger than everybody else. Oh, well, he's a bully. It's not like he's a great center. He's just bigger than everybody else. But Magic Johnson and LeBron James, Magic being bigger than the other point guard, and that gave him such a huge advantage, being able to see over, uh, you know, as far as his vision field is just superior to every other point guard in the history of the NBA. That's great, but that's not seen as an unfair. It's not like seen as an unfair advantage. Or LeBron James being so much bigger than, especially this season going on, he's going to be playing point guard. This is a guy that's going to be 6'8", and he's going to be bigger than virtually every other point guard except for Ben Simmons. That's not an unfair advantage too. I mean, I'm trying to figure this thing out here, but Shaquille O'Neal should be remembered as an all-time great, and that's it. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Tell me what you guys think.